Hi, this is Paul Slackett's Good News Broadcast. I'm here with Linda Kaplan Thaler and Robin Koval.
Yes.
Okay, two of the most successful women in the world of life. And also, I think you have an advertising agency or something like that?
Yes, we do, right in Midtown, and it's grown to about 200 people, and we're all the agency that created the Aflac Duck. Aflac!
Right.
And
Among other things.
also, if you remember, the Herbal Essences Totally Organic Experience. Yes,
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 yes!
This is the reason I am in the middle of these tuken. Because now I know I'm not Gilbert Gottfried, but the fact of the matter is that I'm probably as lucky just to have the
Yes,
opportunity to be
Gilbert,
in front of you.
Gilbert does the voice of the duck. Good.
Yes. And he was actually kind enough to write a little forward for our
So
book.
here's their new book, and actually, if you just read the forward, you're a winner, because old Gilbert is one kind of funny guy, right?
He's a
Yes,
very
very
funny
funny
guy.
Yeah, him and his
Right.
girlfriends, yeah. So
He has one wife, beautiful wife.
yes, good. Well, he's just such a funny guy.
Yeah.
Isn't funny is good?
Funny's
How
good.
about that?
Funny gets you far.
It does, doesn't it? Why do you think that is?
I think because it puts being funny breaks the ice. It puts people at ease. It's one of the small things that you can do when you walk into a room and you don't know anybody. That automatically puts you on equal footing with everybody else. You tell a joke, and everybody can say, "Oh, I'm just like you." You know, you smile at somebody. What do? They smile back.
So now you've created this agency, sort of built around that, right? I mean, first you had a book originally, bang, right, and then so you've put in an old Yiddish term, shtick. You put some humor into your messages.
Well, the easiest way to get to somebody's wallet is through their heart, and you either have to make them, you have to make them feel something. Now, the something can be something that's very moving. You know, years ago I worked on Kodak, and we created those Kodak moments. Or it should be something that's funny, but you should feel something. It should have some emotion. And plus, you should reward people for watching your advertisement. They should be entertained.
Well, I think now in this new high-tech, fast forward through the ads and TiVo this or that and all these kinds of ways, yes, yes, yes. Someone's not going to go through that. In fact, they're looking for that.
Right. Well, that is true. You're looking for where you're going to stop that remote, and there is so much fragmentation, and there are so many competing choices for our attention that I think, as Linda was saying, you do have to reward consumers, people, just for giving you a bit of their time. And humor is one way to do that.
Would you put that under almost customer satisfaction in the sense of what you're doing? You're a giver, not in essence a taker. You're not there just to sell, say, a hair shampoo. You're here to entertain. If they had fun and enjoyed the experience of what you've created, then possibly when they come to make a decision at a store, they're going to potentially buy your product.
I think you said that well, and I think you have to invite people into your brands. You can't push them in.
All right, well, it's all good. Actually, Linda's you're on Good News Broadcast, actually twice. You're on for Judith West's Money Matters, getting your money's worth, as well as you received a very high accolade, I'll say, for the New York Women in Film, right? Was that it?
Yes, I got the Muse Award. That was wonderful.
Yeah, no fooling around.
This
This is high-profile people here in the sense of that your people in the industry are infatuated with the success that you all have created.
Well, that's not. I know my parents are infatuated, but I will tell you that
and your families.
One of the reasons we wrote The Power of Small is because what Robin and I found in business and in life, but certainly in talking to other companies like ours, is that people in this country are obsessed with big budgets and seeing the big picture and don't sweat the small stuff. And what we found is actually it is paying attention to the small stuff that matters. Instead of taking some overwhelming problem, chop it down into small bits and solve a little at a time. Think about today. Think about right now. And I think that one of the reasons our country is in the big mess that we're in today is because people weren't reading some of the small fine print down there.
I'm just smiling because I'm thinking about the video. If you gave me that video, I would put it up on Good News. The video they made for you. at that event.
That was funny.
That was one beautiful, beautiful video. And that was a lot of small stuff. Let me ask in regard to small stuff, because this is your latest book. They had a bestseller here with The Power of Nice, right?
And this one is a bestseller.
And
too.
now this is already a bestseller too, The Power of Small, Why Little Things Make All the Difference. I first thought I wondered about was this, and when The Power of Small, I read this, but the first thing that came into my mind is that I was fortunate enough to interview Richard Carlson many, many years ago, okay? And he said, don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff of some sort. And so, but I found it quite interesting, your thought in small stuff. And I really like the book. It's a great book.
Yeah.
There's a lot to learn throughout the entire book. Great quotes. You found such marvelous quotes, and the chapters and the do's and don'ts and small changes. This is a workbook. This is a life book.
It's
and
a
small
very
talk.
practical book. You can. It's only 120 some odd pages. You can read it, and 2 hours later you can be putting all those little small changes to work, because people don't have a lot of time. And so we felt, we wanted to write a book where somebody could invest a small amount of time and make big changes in their life.
Okay, well, and even Gilbert says you can read one page at a time, or you can read a whole chapter at a time. In any case, but give it, because I agree with your other additional concept of what small is and how it can affect your life. Maybe you can explain what you guys mean by that.
Well, I think that, in many aspects, we're ignoring what we consider the trivial stuff and thinking that it doesn't matter. I mean, Rod and I we found this story, and we actually brought the women to New York, but people think making small talk is meaningless. In fact, it is probably one of the most important things that you can do, because it makes that social connection. But these two women, one woman was coming in every day for her local Starbucks, and the barista, she would always make small talk with the barista, and one day the barista noticed that her customer was looking very glum, and it turned out that she was having kidney failure, and there was nobody in her family that was a blood match. And do you know, because of the small talk that they made, she leaned over and said, "I'm going to get tested." She was a perfect match. And if you go to thepowersmallbook.com, you will see we actually filmed that story. It is unbelievable. They're both grandmothers and incredibly good friends now, but we talk about the power of small talk. Boy, there's proof.
Well, I think it's like small talk is also, like a small town of some sort. And I grew up in a little Tarrytown, and my dad had a little shoe store in town, and everybody in another Yiddish word is a kibbutz. We'd talk.
You find out so much
and
about
you
people
learn about
that
people.
way.
And actually, that was the fun part of it, and I still think is the fun part about it. Where did you go?
I grew up, as Linda did, in the Bronx.
The Bronx, okay, so you're real New York.
So a real New Yorker and a
Very
Yankee
wealthy.
fan.
We both came from very wealthy families.
Loaded
The
families.
nice side of
I
Jerome
don't know if
Avenue.
you know the Kovalas of Bronx, but they're very, very classy group.
You were next to the Slackuses on the Grand Concourse.
right.
Yeah,
Yes, I know that.
I went to Alexander's.
Yeah, I know. Farkas. Yeah. We know all about it.
But
Right.
it was a good way to grow up, because we didn't have a lot. I know I didn't have a lot. And so you did learn to appreciate the small things, and you grew up in little neighborhoods, as I'm sure you did too, where those small gestures and small talk and small kindnesses really mattered. And although, the world has changed and it seems a lot bigger than perhaps the neighborhood I grew up in the Bronx, those things still really are what make the difference, I think, between success and failure, not only in business, but in your life, and the impact you can even make in the world. Some of us think, we're so small, what impact can I possibly have, not only on things that I want to happen for me, but even in the world that seems so out of control. And we tell a lot of stories in the book how individuals have been able to, just through very, very small acts, make huge changes. We tell a story in there about a girl named Shauna, and a 16-year-old girl. I mean, what power does a teenager really have in the world? No money, no influence, none of that stuff. And she was watching the news one day, and she saw a show, a news program, about how the soldiers in Iraq were feeling very disenfranchised. People back at home weren't supporting them, and really making them feel terrible. And Shauna decided that, I want to do something about that. And so she asked her father, well, I want to write letters to the troops. How many letters do you think I would need to write? And her father was kind of half listening to her, as we do sometimes as parents. We're busy, we're paying bills, we're doing all these things. And he said, I think 1 million. And Shauna, being the rare kind of 16-year-old who actually listened to her father, that's exactly what she went out and did. She started writing to every friend, emailing all her classmates and relatives, and this 16-year-old girl, in a matter of 6 months, got 1 million letters to send to the troops. She delivered the 1,000,000th letter in the Oval Office. I mean, can you imagine? So if one little girl could do that, we all can do that.
Isn't it? I looked through some of your quotes. You have Margaret Mead's. It's always been that just one person has literally made the difference.
I like the Dalai Lama's. The
Dalai Lama's great.
Yeah, he says, if you think small doesn't matter, try spending the night with a mosquito.
Right? Yes, that's a great one. Is there another story in it that you would like to share?
Well, we have so many stories. I mean, I think one of the things that we tell people is little mistakes can also spell disaster. I mean, personally, I can tell you, I had a crush on this guy when I was in college, and he was going to med school, and he was a brilliant kid, and he couldn't get into any of his med school choices. And finally, I said, "Can I take a look at the essay that you wrote?" Because he had like a, A+ average. Well, he had spelt the word medicine incorrectly. He spelled it with 2 E's instead of the 2 I's. And I said, you might want to relook at that. And then he finally, the last school he went to, the Albert Einstein School of Medicine, he got in because he spelled medicine correct. But I think, we send out emails, we don't double check what we're writing. I mean, Robin has the most hysterical story.
I'll tell you this really funny story. So we're all, addicted to our BlackBerries. And I used to have one that was a super slim model, and it doubled up the letters on the keyboard. So the U and the I were on the same key, and use this program called Smart Type to figure out what you were really typing. And most of the time it worked pretty well, except we're the creators of the Aflac duck, so I happen to type the word duck more than the average person, and this obviously confused my BlackBerry, because I typed a 3-paragraph, very important email to one of my largest clients, and if I hadn't proofread, I would have sent the most X-rated. I know, you can figure it out yourself.
The U became an
I. The U became the I. So I kept saying, the Aflac duck is so wonderful. You must do these things with the Aflac duck. I think, the Aflac duck is just the best thing we've ever done. Well, I wasn't typing that. So little things can create big disasters if you don't watch out for them.
No doubt about it. So what do you want people to gain from this book?
What we want people to understand is no matter who you are or what you're doing or what your means are, you can get from here to there. You can climb any mountain, as Barbara Walters says, just by taking those small steps. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't get, just intimidated by people who seem much larger than you or more successful than you. It is all doable. Think small. Put it down into small bits. Get there step by step.
Yeah, and I think that does go back. I don't know if we ever answered it, or if we did, I can't remember. But Richard Carlson said it's small steps. But the important thing is those little small steps can really not be helpful if you don't deal with them, right?
That's
because
right.
that was the key point that I thought was so important. That we can think they're small, but in essence, if you don't do that check of your email, if you don't, look and see what you have, whether you have a meeting at 8 a.m. tomorrow, the following day, it's a small thing, but miss the meeting, miss
and that's
that.
a big thing.
They have the potential to really
yeah,
be, and then in your own family, you forget maybe
you forget someone's birthday
or something.
Well, and conversely, remembering these small, nice gestures. You take somebody out to lunch. You have no idea how it will impact. We call them, positive imprints, and they're like seeds, and you put them out there, and they're going to grow in beautiful ways. But those things really matter. That cab that you gave to somebody, that extra call. I mean, Robin, by the way, decided to call somebody back. We answer every resume, every email. That's our policy. And she decided to be nice enough to sort of chat with this person. Well, he sent the biggest box of cookies that fed the entire agency.
Yes.
No, but I mean, in even in more impactful ways, we've gotten millions of dollars worth of business from people that we had just done favors for over the years, and then
Sure.
they became clients, and that's what happens.
It's all good.
Yeah.
What's good news for you?
What's good news for me? Well, I think, the thing that makes me so excited and inspired by the ideas and the power of small is, we're living in a world when we do have big problems, and we shouldn't diminish that, but that we all can solve those problems. I like to say, and we learned it, a famous idea from a mathematician, that if you think you have a problem that's too big, you need to find a smaller problem to solve. And it's really true when you're faced with the kinds of big problems we have today. I mean, maybe you're out of work or, in financial distress. It's easy to sort of get in that place of, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do, and I have to wait for them to fix it for me. Well, they may not, but you can. If you chop it up into little bite-sized pieces, if, we like to say, be a mini-tasker instead of a multitasker. If you make yourself a promise that you're not going to get everything done today, if you need a new job, you're not going to find it today. That's big. But if you say, you know what, I can promise myself that I'll do 3 things today. I will think of 3 people I can call. I will look at 3 companies that I might be able to get introductions to. Everybody can do that. And to me, that's what's so inspirational about the book, that we can all do these little things to make our lives better, that it isn't as hard as it looks.
Beautiful. That's good news. And Linda, for you, what's good news for you?
Well, I think just being able to reach out to people and to say, Robin and I took from nothing, built one of the fastest growing agencies in this country, $1 billion worth of business. When all the odds were, against us, we didn't come from wealthy means, and we just, we had very myopic vision. We took one day at a time, and I guess our feeling is to say to people, if we can do it, anybody can do it. And that's good news.
That's all good news. All right. Thank you both very much
Thank you.
for sharing, and much greater success. And I feel a TV whole series out of this book. Okay. Thanks. Good News Broadcast. Paul Slack is very honored to be here. Thanks.
Thank you.